Yes. Another beer from the front end?
Well, I told him, I said to him, I said, you fucker,
Oh, there's a beer on the line.
He didn't want me to beat him, that little crap.
We had to leave that short. There was a beer on the line.
Takes a lot of talent to leave it that short and then get it close enough.
No, we're good. Sure? You can do it all. I'll just type in when I need to.
It's a different matchup, though.
Oh, that's right.
It's a different matchup. You guys
No, that was still a front ender versus a back ender.
Oh, no, you can't have the front end sweeping the other guy's.
Oh, no.
Post haste, no way.
You know what? If your line was the same as Chris, it's a little bit.
As we take a look at a nice wide shot of all the teams participating here in draw number 6 of the Nova Scotia Men's Deloitte Tankard on Bell 5 TV 1. And we are zooming right in here, and you take a look at Kendall Thompson and taking on Mike Flemming. Flemming will have the hammer here, one, and he is throwing the yellow stones as the throw on its way here from Jarrett Brown. Good afternoon to you, just after 12 o'clock on the east coast of Canada. My name is Dan Hobson. Delighted to have Carly Jones here on the call with this one. Kendall Thompson coming into this one. He started off the championships 3-0 and kind of had a little bit of a tough day yesterday. Losses to Greg Power, and of course another loss in the evening has dropped him to 3-2, taking on Mike Flemming, who's well, he has a chance to play spoiler. He's at 1-4, so playoffs out of his picture. So, of course, let's get your thoughts on this one as we have the first couple of rocks in play underway here on a Friday afternoon from Dartmouth Curling Club.
Yeah, thanks for having me here today. I'm not sure if my mic is working right now.
Oh, yeah,
It's hard to tell.
you
Can
nice.
Me? Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I know it's been a really exciting week so far. Like you said, Kendall Thompson's team did have a little bit of an unfortunate day. It's probably not the way they envisioned it, but I think they're happy to be 3-2 at this point. And 2 wins today will secure you a playoff spot. So I think that's what their goal is. And starting off with this game, they'll be looking to get the W. Of course, like you said, Mike Flemming's team is 1-4, so playoff contention is out of reach. So they'll just be looking at coming out here today to play a good game and see if they can play spoiler, like you said. So I think we'll see a good game here today.
And we'll put this in everybody's ear right now. Of course, Carly is a player as well, and she has a very good knowledge of Bryce Everest, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I am dating him.
There you
so
go.
Just
yep.
Full disclosure.
Yep.
Might have to take the mic off if I'm getting a little anxious. But
Yeah, you'll be okay.
I've watched enough curling that it doesn't get to me as much as at least it doesn't get to me too bad. So.
Yeah. Well, sometimes that you're in a position like this, and everybody says, "Well, you're in a situation calling a relative's game." Sometimes they could be a little bit more harsher than probably a regular average objective broadcaster. So we're delighted to have you here on the call here. Of course, as we are going to keep everybody up to date on the other games taking place. We have 2 important ones that are not available to be streamed here this afternoon on Sheet B. Stuart Thompson and Mark Dacey. 3-2 Dacey versus 3-2 Stewart, as is on Sheet B, as I mentioned, and on Sheet E. First place on the line between Jamie Murphy and Chad Stevens, both of those teams at 4-1. And the legend himself has come back. Jim Nix and Matt Paul calling the Greg Power versus Brett McDougall game, and that's a 1-4. So that's what's going on here. Of course, this is the second to last draw, as we're going to have 7 rounds, 6th underway here. And in just a couple of moments, we'll run down some of the team members. Here is Brandon Lavelle. We've seen Jarrett Brown throw. The third, as we've already mentioned. And I know I'm probably going to get 5 cents for every name drop from Carly. Here is Bryce Everest and Kendall Thompson, the skip there, the Mayflower Curling Club. And you see Kevin Ouellette, who's taking over the skip duties. Did this yesterday, worked for them. The Cardiac Kids, they got down by as much as 6 to Brent McDougall and clawed their way back with steals in the 8th, 9th, and 10th. As there is Chris Granchelli II, Don McDermott, he's the one that's sweeping right now. Mike Flemming there right now, just the guiding that rock and now doing the light brushing. And now you've met everybody in this battle of the Mayflower Curling Clubs.
Yeah, so there is having an open end here. Nothing too exciting happening.
The typical usual start, did you see probably, I'll say 8 times out of 10, because in the women's play, there was a lot of rocks playing the first end. And
and that's actually something Selena and I were talking about last night, was these guys get 9 minutes of practice before the game starts. And depending on how they feel at that point, sometimes you'll see a lot of rocks in playing that first end. But like you said, typically they'll just keep it open to still kind of get a feel for what the ice is doing and how it's running. So Kendall here calling upon Bryce to play a little draw behind this corner guard, just slipping a little deep. So not the result they wanted. So I think we'll see Kevin call the same shot and have Mike follow that down.
There is Kevin Loulette, as we mentioned, the lineup change. And pretty well, they started off 0-3, 10-2 loss to Jamie Murphy, followed by a loss to Mark Dacey and Stuart Thompson. Then they made that change yesterday morning in their game against Brent McDougall, and they got down early, clawed back, and got a W in their category, and then faced Chad Stevens and came out on the short end of the stick of that one. So that's how their road here to the championships have gone for them, and we will document Kendall Thompson's here in just a couple of moments. As we're into third rocks, here's Mr. Mike Flemming. Light brushing here by McDermott and Granchelli, also known as Granch. Just touches his own stone and will raise it there just on the outside wings of the 12-foot area. So yes, Kendall Thompson did get off to a good start. It was the Thompson versus Thompson battle that started on the first day, 10-9. Could have gone either way, but the W went his way, then defeated Chad Stevens and Mark Dacey. That was a big day for them as they were going 3-0, were sitting on top of the standings. And then Greg Power, who was still looking for his first win, well, he got it in that morning draw. And then Jamie Murphy and Kendall Thompson went at it, and he came in on the short end of the stick. The final to 3-2. So, definitely a streaky team. 3 wins to start, 2 losses, and hopefully maybe to start another winning streak is in the plan here for Kendall Thompson.
So it looks like on that one, Kendall was given Bryce pretty tight ice, and it curled just a little bit more than they expected, but it does appear from the overhead view that they did hit it out, but maybe a rock they measure in the end. So Kevin just calling Mike here to go to the other side of the sheet.
Granchelli and McDermott working on this one here. Some rocks in play, but they're really well outside of the rings. So this will be a stone that will come in and just get over the tee line and sit there. It'll be the shot rock for the meantime here as we're getting to the late stages of end number 1.
Yeah, they're all taking a good look at that biter over there. It seems to me you can see a little bit of white, and so I think it is out.
I think it's out.
Yeah.
Well, you got the curling guys, you got the curling experience, so we'll rely on your expertise on that
Hopefully
instead
I'm
of
right.
mine. I'll say something's in and it will be out. It's a growing process for me too, so to figure out if it's in or out. But we're seeing like white ice on the monitors up here at our broadcast location. Kendall Thompson. I was thinking it doesn't really look a lot like Sturr, but when you have that picture there, that throws that theory out the door. They do have the same similar features, facial-wise.
Absolutely, yeah. No, at first glance, they definitely don't look like brothers, but once you get to know them, not only do they kind of look like each other, but they kind of have similar personalities too, which is kind of cool, so. But they wouldn't say that.
No. I say, what, are you kidding? Crazy? So, those type of comments.
Yeah, exactly. And can see Kendall and Stuart's parents out on the ice shed watching right now. Kate and Stephen.
Brave soldiers, ice level, and they didn't even bring a blanket, so they're like tough.
Oh yeah, they're always out here watching both of their sons, so big supporters.
Kevin Ouellette here in one. One lonely Kendall Blue Thompson Rock in the house. Seconds away from going bye-bye, and there it is. Back four for the Flemming foursome, skipped by Kevin Ouellette. Yeah, the adjustment there when they made the switch from, a la like, John Morris and Jim Cotter, working very well here for this Flemming team. They made the adjustment. Took a little while for them to maybe find themselves, but then all of a sudden it was a tale of two halves in that game against Brent McDougall. It was all Brent McDougall the first half, and then this Flemming team took over with steals, 3 straight ins in the remaining last 3 ins to come away with the victory and get them their first win here at the championships. Last rock for Kendall Thompson here in the first. Lavelle wants to pounce on it, but is advised not to. Hit and a slight roll.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that. It changes up the shot a bit for Kevin here on his last one. It'll be interesting to see if that yellow rock, that it could potentially be biting. A lot of teams would just hit this rock that's in the rings and roll out to blank the end. So it kind of looks like from this ice he's going to take his chances and nose it and see whether or not he scores 2, I think.
Oh, I might see the measuring stick here at the end, see if that one is in or out. So final stone here for Kevin Ouellette out of the Mayflower Curling Club. 2-part plan. Part A, remove the blue stick. B, hope that one on the outside is in.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see a stick put on this one. So the measuring device that's used to determine whether or not that's in is basically a 12-foot stick. And if it's in, then the stick obviously will just ever so slightly touch the rock.
I just thought of it. It's like the world's biggest compass you can shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is different from the measuring stick that's used to determine which rock is closer to the pin.
So the official, you may not be able to see it in our camera range as he's going down sheet E on the outside. Try not to interfere with that game going on. Will be making his way up, and you'll probably see him in your picture in about 10 to 12 seconds. Don't start your watch. Well, photographer there also down there, so you'll see him here in a second. There he is, making a presence on television here. So Flemming has one in the bank, hoping to make it 2.
It's in. I didn't think it was. I think our camera view is distorted.
Yeah, I keep my perfect record. I've been wrong all the time, and I continue that. So if you have a trend, you might as well keep going that way. 2 for Mike Flemming here in the first. Well, it's good of them to maybe, take a good look at it. And like, we've seen white ice and on our monitors up here, so it's a good idea for them to measure it. So, but they've been in the situation where they've gotten off to good starts. Can they hold this lead here, the Flemming team? And, of course, now Kendall Thompson will have the hammer here in 2, throwing the blue stones. See if this one comes into the rings, and it does. Kendall says, what stone? Don't know what you're talking about. Corner guard, please.
Yeah, very interesting. A lot of teams may hit that rock because it's in a pretty good position. But Kendall, he's feeling comfortable with the ice, so he's calling the corner guard. And usually we'll see that when teams have hammer because they're trying to play away from the center so that if for some reason things don't go their way, they still have the button available to score 1 point. So the Flemming rink will be looking to guard this stone that is on the button right now. Don McDermott throwing his second stone.
And the front end working hard of Grinchilli and Mike Flemming. Going to soon have an update there for you on Sheet B because I know, as I say, that's, game with, of course, playoff possibilities for those teams. Stuart Thompson and Dacey on B, and on E, Stevenson Murphy. So we get scores, we'll pass them along to you. Jared Brown here in 2.
Jared Brown is new to the Thompson team this year, and replacing Brendan Lavelle, who's actually playing second. Brendan actually moved to Ottawa at the end of last year. And Jamie Danbrook, who typically plays second for the Thompson rink, is doing ice maintenance over in Finland right now. So I'm not sure what time it is in Finland, so assuming there's enough time difference, it's probably evening there right now, and he'll be watching the scores intently.
Yeah.
So they called up Brendan to come from Ottawa to play second for this week, and he was available. So.
Yep, you talk about just all of a sudden, I could just imagine that conversation. Well, what are you doing? Nothing? Yeah, would you like to come down and purvey the provincial tankard? Sure, that's how it probably went. It's not verbatim, but close enough.
Yep, for sure.
As you see, Yellowstone in behind that blue. So we'll see, things may pick up there after an interesting first end. Funny how this sport goes. All those rocks in play on Sheet B, and only 2 there for Stuart Thompson over Dacey, so 2-0 as they play in number 2. Nothing new to report in the Murphy-Stevens so far. That's the front end going hard in on this one, trying to get by that yellow, easily by. Now they're going to ask for it to sit. Just a slight rub. That 4-foot sort of getting a little cluttered right now, and Ouellette's just going to try to clean up things in front. The funny and popular Chris Grant Chelly here, the second here on Team Flemming. Trying to run something back, does pick out the blue and the yellow, so clean up the 4-foot area on the run back. It does leave a Kendall Thompson there, a shot here in the 4-foot and buried there by the yellow guards belonging to Flemming. So those working more as a hinder to him right now than a help. Yeah, as Carly mentioned, here is Brendan Lavelle. Filling in for Jamie Danbrook, as you mentioned. They want it to sit, but it's going to come into the house. Well, it's sitting time. I'll be back 8.
Yeah, they'll be happy with that one. Typically, if you end up leaving it a little bit higher than that, it can leave an opportunity for the other team to hit and roll in towards the center. So if you go behind the tee line, then the button isn't as available for the other team. So I think they're quite happy with that shot. Kevin, of course, calling the hit still, knowing that it could be a potential counter later on. So looking to eliminate that blue stone.
Mike Flemming McDermott Jr., Don McDermott Jr. working hard on it. Bumping a little roll, a little towards the outside. To be second shot here as we're getting closing stages of in number 2.
So Kendall's going to call the freeze attempt here on Bryce's first. Just to make it that much harder for the Flemming rink to eliminate that blue rock, put it into a better position.
As this one makes its way down, give everybody an update. Murphy and Stevens. Stevens had the hammer in the first, blank, so no score as they are in number 2. Comes to a rest. And of course we had a little bit of drama out there in the first end, so.
Yeah, he got a biter out of it. His weight looked pretty close. It's hard to see because we're not out there seeing how they're precisely throwing it, but I think it just curled a little bit more than they anticipated.
Of course, it's the final day of round robin competition, both in the men's and the women's. 4 draws in total. First of 2 draws here for the men. Dermott trying to hold the line. Hits, rolls in. So they'll sit 2 and 3 right now. But as you see, they're just well outside. Does this guy look familiar to you?
Yep. Looking to play the same freeze. Sweeping it to keep the line.
You can critique that one if you want. Do you think that's a good result, bad result? You can let.
Well, I don't think they're going to be too happy with that. They only got 4th shot out of it, and they would have definitely liked to have been at least 3rd, if not 2nd shots. So it's an opportunity now for Mike Flemming to bring the force on and potentially force Kendall Thompson to only taking 1 rather than the 2 that they were setting up for. But the blue rock is still in the rings, and you know, he should be able, those yellows are, you can hit both of them out, I think, if the opportunity presented itself. So Kevin's going to be looking to put this one probably somewhere in the 8-foot area so that he doesn't bring those rocks into play over in the 12-foot.
Been pretty well relaxed since this championship started as we take a look at the Mike Flemming team now being skipped by Kevin Ouellette. Grant Shelley on it. Now McDermott joins the party. McDermott going hard. Now Grant Shelley coming in. And we'll be deep in the 4-foot area.
Yeah, just a little bit deeper than he expected. So I think with this one, Kendall would like to get the inside roll.
Yeah, the sweeping was interesting on that one. They started, they stopped, and then they started once again. Not just like the, you know, 1 person and then there was 2 person, then there was 1 person. It was,
yeah, and sometimes you get stuck in between those shots where it's a little bit heavier than you thought it was, so you have to make a decision to say, hey guys, it's heavier, maybe we should play the wide come around and just come around everything. But this one just hung a little wide, so there's definitely some air for Kendall to roll in on this one. So Kendall Thompson's first shot here in the 2nd end.
Light brushing here by Jarrett Brown. Yeah, this sheet has been a little bit tricky to some of the teams here, so they're not taking any chances. Pushes the yellow out. Yellow go.
It's actually a pretty good plan B. It looks like he rolled into a spot where he should be second shot. It's pretty close between that back blue and the top yellow. I didn't quite see the call there for what Kevin wanted to do on his last. But with that ice, it does look like he is playing towards the wings. Likely just looking to freeze or freeze tap that blue one in the back.
Kevin Ouellette with his first here. His last, pardon me, here in number 2. And you can hear him. Go, guys, go, he says. And they'll push that blue one back to Sit's second shot. But pretty well, the 4-foot open, wide open here, Curly, for Kendall to get his 2 and even things up.
Yeah, no, that shot got the job done for Mike, or I should say Kevin, confusing myself. So it's an open house here. Well, he just needs to get at least full 8-foot on this one to score his second point.
Of course, he was on the evening draw last night, and we were calling games here on C&D, and everybody was oohing and ahhing about the shot that he made. Never got a chance to see it, but based on the reactions up here to lobby at night, it was a sweet shot as we're into the final start here for Kendall Thompson at number 2. Everybody seems to be content and happy, light brushing. And there you go. As they trade 2s, Flemming with 2 and 1, Thompson with 2 and 2. 2 heads of play, we're still even. Kendall Thompson 2 and Mike Flemming 2, both out of the Mayflower Curling Club. Brent McDougall with a single point in the game against Greg Power. Of course, Jim Nix, Matt Paul had the call for that one. And still nothing new to report on the Stuart Thompson. Mark Dacey still Thompson 2-0 over him. As I said, the Blake with Murphy and Stevens still, so nothing new to report. Up to date on everything. You know, it's an important day, so we'll try to keep you up to date with all the scores on the other sheets. And draw number 6 of the Nova Scotia Men's Deloitte Tankard here on Bell 5 TV1, the official online source for Nova Scotia curling. My name's Dan Hobson, joined by Carly Jones. Delighted to have you here on a Friday afternoon. So, Flemming will have the hammer here in 3, and he is throwing the yellow stones. You know, in this Kendall Thompson team, probably like the back of your hand, know them very well. See that probably they're pretty happy with the way things have gone. Give up 2, get 2, still have a pretty good finish through the rest of this one. Is be pretty well their plan.
Yeah, definitely when you have the hammer, you want to try your best to generate at least 2 points. Multiples are always good when you have hammer, and then when you don't have hammer, an ideal world is you force the other team to 1 point. So, yeah, I definitely think they're happy with how that end shaped up.
Going to put you on the spot. You've seen this team as we talked about. Would you say they're like a team that likes to, have a lot of rocks in play, or are they a team that likes to really be sort of, come get their 2, 3, or 4 and then go down in defense mode? And what would you say if you were to be a curling aficionado on the Kendall Thompson team? What type of game they like to do?
I would definitely say they're very comfortable with having rocks in play, and I think that just comes with the fact that they've played together for 3 years, so they really understand each other and how each other's throw, and they believe in the game that they're calling, right? So I think the biggest thing is making sure the whole team is on the same page when it comes to the shots being called. And they've had quite a bit of success this year. They've won 2 Bonspiels this year on the circuit here in the Atlantic provinces, and in the spiels that they didn't win, they were in the playoffs every time. So they've had quite a successful year, and they're having a really good week right now. So I think they're really happy with how things are going.
Yep, successful year. You hit the nail right on the head with that one. 22 wins and 6 losses there, according to the World Tour statistics. Of course, that's just on the World Tour, so there's going to be other Bonspiels, cash spiels that don't qualify for that, but we'll have, of course, some wins on that. So, but it still does tell you a good number of how well things have gone.
Yeah, exactly. So.
We saw Jarrett Brown throw. He's been curling since the age of 7 and 26-year-old. So here's Brendan Laval, and 27-year-old, curling for 19 years. And, of course, as you mentioned, has moved to Ontario there. So getting a chance to fill in here for Jamie Danbrook. Right now, 4 stones in play as we play N3. Greg Power got 2 in number 2, 2-1. As they play a third over Brett McDougall on sheet D. You can also watch that on Bell 5 TV1. That's going to be the sheet D. Chris Grancelli here in 3.
Calling Donnie on it to try to get the rock to curl up towards the blue stone in the rings. Gets a little movement in the house.
And off camera, some of the Kendall Thompson team members cleaning the path. Maybe a little bit of seeded out in ice here, of course. Another warm day, an unexpectedly warm, almost spring-like day here in Nova Scotia. So see if it becomes a little bit of an effect on the ice. A little bit of delay starting, making sure that the ice was the perfect condition that it was a couple of days ago. Removes the 2 yellow stones, rolls towards the button. Sweet shot.
Yeah, he'll definitely be happy with that one for sure.
Removes 2 and rolls in, and making Kevin Ouellette think a little bit here. It's just not going to worry too much about that and try to think maybe let's just get rid of that long guard.
Yeah, I think Kevin's just not really liking how things are shaping out in the house right now, so he's wanting to get rid of that guard in the front and hopefully open something up for him and give him some more options later on in the end.
And Grancelli does that, throws it, and shooter out of play as well. So it opens up the path for him, and as you mentioned, he wasn't really happy about the situation that he was getting in, and if he could clear it up and maybe use that shot as a next setup shot, depending, of course, what the Kendall Thompson team has in store on this one. as we're into third stones here in number 3.
Trying to get a little finish on this last stone here. Just didn't quite curl up where they wanted it to, but still in a bit of a trouble spot for Kevin, so Rocky still has to deal with.
Yeah, that was the 31-year-old Bryce Everest, the industrial engineer for Nova Scotia Power, and probably a good time to say kudos. We just had like a major storm probably a week and a half ago, and how quickly they got the power going. Just a fantastic job by them throughout.
Bryce actually is part of the emergency operations, so during storms he works overnights to help restore power, making up work packages for the workers that actually go out to fix the power in various places. So directly involved in the effort.
Oh, very much. It's like the thing is, it's like even the wind was still blowing, and if it wasn't like in the middle of the winter time. But they did such a fantastic job. Some, of course, they were saying the estimated time was Sunday, but some were like on there quicker than that. And, so yeah, fine job by them. And I'm sure all the Nova Scotians, pretty well want to show appreciation for everybody for helping out.
All right, so it looks like Kevin is going to make an attempt to hit some of the blues that are in the rings. Guard didn't quite get over to block the blue rock in the house, so it is exposed on the 8-foot.
Branch going hard now. Don McDermott going hard too. Just touched the blue one, and that will push it enough to go off the path and to the back. And once again off screen, more housekeeping done. Might not have been able to see it there, so you're seeing some things in the ice that's getting their attention. Last thing you want is some sort of ice issue, picks, or anything to determine the fate of a team here this afternoon. Bryce Everest here in the third. A 2-2 game. And already Brown, Laval working hard on it. Closing up things. Comes to a rest. Staggered guards out front. Belonging to Kendall Thompson, blocking that 4-foot area. Very congested. So we play here at 3.
A little bit easier on this sheet actually as compared to last night. We can actually hear a little bit about what the guys are saying and the discussion that they're having out there. Chris Grancelli giving his 2 cents, saying, hey, I want to play this shot. So it seems like they're all on board for this one.
Mike Flemming came into this as the skip of this team now to third stone. Has to remove this one. It looks like he'll try to run and pick that yellow out. He does that, and he's not too happy about it, and he throws his broom down in disgust as ends up removing his own stone, trying to get the blue. So there you see it, sitting 3, and the vote hammer 3. Thompson looking to steal here. And the frustrations continue here for Mike Flemming as after that he just put the broom down and say, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. That yellow rock was kind of saving them there. So really great opportunity for Kendall here to put some pressure and to make it very tough for Kevin to get in there to even score.
Run backs pretty when you make them, but when you don't make them, they can be disastrous, and that was case in point. And the thing is like those two are just pretty well buried there by that Yellowstone. And there's a blue one on the other side that's blocking a little bit of the 4-foot area. Maybe able to come around it, but
I don't know.
It's very tough.
The ice is so straight this week. I just don't think they could probably get into the 4-foot area and cut them down to 1 or 2 maybe. So we'll see where Kendall puts this stone. I think he'd be happy having it somewhere in the 12-foot area and even tight.
Starting to curl and come over in the front end, working hard here on this. Brown Lavelle. Actually put it there and, well, almost leaving it pretty well. No choice once again to run it back here for this Flemming team, as they already are focusing their attention on that yellow one right close to the center line.
Yeah, with this one, Kevin's going to be looking to undo some damage and get some of the blue stones out. I think with Kendall's, he would have liked us to come a little bit deeper and make this shot unavailable to Kevin. So he'll just be looking for the straight run back on this one.
Mike Flemming holding the broom here for Kevin Ouellette, and Ouellette was just about ready to throw. Somebody must have said something funny to him, and he just had to back off and chuckle for a bit. Regain his concentration. Open to bail his teammate out, Mike Flemming, with this shot. Kevin Ouellette. Run back the yellow and try to get those blues out of there. He'll get one of them out, but can't keep the shooter. So now it's things are gone from bad to worse here for the Flemming team. 2 stones and a path starting to block off that maybe even hard to maybe even get one, with the 4-foot sort of blocked off there by center guards and 2 blue stones. So looks like they're going to try to either, as you say, just to go the opposite side, just like what they tried to do with their last one, just go to the other side of the sheet. Is that correct? Yeah,
no, actually what Kendall's trying to do on this one is to actually go through that hole between the blue and yellow stone and to get somewhere in the 12 or 8-foot area. So then that way it makes this run back quite a bit harder. I really think the run back is the only shot that Kevin has at this point. Gotta be careful with this one because you don't want to hit the guard and expose the blue stone in the rings. It's the only danger in playing this shot.
Yeah, it's coming up on them, and they give it a hit, and Val picked up something off the ice there with his finger and put it in his pocket. So they did bump the yellow off, so it's going to make it so that yellow makes not as straight to get onto those back 2, but
yeah, that yellow one's not available to hit onto it. It looks like they're looking to see whether or not there might be some sort of hole there. If there is, it's a very small hole.
It's pretty about the size of a rock.
About the size of a rock, yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at it like our broadcast location. We're looking right at it, through it, and it's like, man, he's going to have to need some butter or grease or something to try to get that through. I just don't see it.
Yeah, a little bit of bad break on Kendall's. It's almost if they let up on it and let it curl a bit. This hole's not there. It's so hard to even tell if the hole is there, but I really don't think Kevin has any other option right now. I think he just has to try to get through it and hope for the best.
Looking pretty good for steal here for Kendall Thompson here in 3. They said jokingly to me when they made the lineup change, I lost a bet, so I ended up being the skip of this team. That was Kevin Ouellette. He said jokingly, probably not really all of a sudden going from the frying pan right into the fryer here in end number 3.
So they're on it early. Is he going to find it? So I think the hole was there, but just didn't make it. So steal a 2 for Kendall Thompson.
Our first steal of the game after Flemming got 2 in the first. Kendall Thompson got 2 in the second. Steal of 2 in 3 here, so 4-2 is where we stand. Flemming will hold the hammer. He is throwing the yellow stones. And that's why they are having the record that they have of 22-6 on the tour, with making things difficult. As I say, we're going to put you on the spot once again. I'm not sure if you guys look in the percentages or not. Like, how well do they do at getting steals this team, since you know them quite well?
I know them quite well, but not enough to know the stats on that.
Yeah. But just based on watching, you see them to have a lot of success in getting the steals when they...
Yeah, definitely. I think that's all kind of part of their game plan, right? Having rocks in play and putting pressure on the other team is really the key. You want your opponents to have tough shots and to feel that pressure. If you're leaving them easy shots, you're just making it easier on them, and you're not going to put yourself in a good position to win games. So definitely Kendall's team really has it figured out in terms of rock positioning and getting the rocks in good spots. As shown in that end, there really was very limited options for Kevin on his last stone.
Yeah, you leave run backs, and as I say, they could be your best friends or your worst enemies, and they attempted that twice and just really everything all clogged up. And as you said, when I asked you a few minutes ago about how the type of style they play, and it's a lot of rocks in play, and as you mentioned, they come away with a steal 2. And of course, trying to get back into the win column, they started off the championships with 3, and then first time that they had to have a 2-draw day, and a little bit of difficulty getting losses to Greg Power, who was winless, and then had to face, of course, the tough foursome there at the Halifax Curling Club, Jamie Murphy. So we'll see if they're a streaky team and start another streak here, as they have the first of 2 here. There'll be another draw later on tonight at 8 o'clock. Trying to sweep it hard to get her in all the way there in the 4-foot area. For the meantime, to be lying 1, of course, early here and in number 4. Well, Chad Stevens bouncing back. 2-1 as they play in 4. Stuart Thompson pitching a shutout right now as it's 3-0 as they play the 4th against Mark Deasy. And McDougall and Power tied at 2 as they play 4. Of course, Deasy and Stuart Thompson, both of those guys, as I mentioned, on sheet B, both 3 and 2. So trying to prevent that 3rd loss are both of those teams. And on sheet E, Murphy and Stevens, one of them, of course, the winner of that will have first place all by themselves. And looking good there for the semis.
Yeah, I do believe on sheet B, both teams are in control of their own destiny, and you have to win that game to really keep your playoff hopes alive.
Bumps the yellow and gives a little bit of coverage to that one that's in the house net right now. The thing is that even though this team, Flemming, things haven't really gone their way, I mentioned earlier about the comeback they had against McDougall down by 6 and came back to win it. So lots of curling left to go here. That yellow guard coming up on them, and they'll bump it and push the Yellowstone just thrown right onto the center line. Boy, if that's not staggered, I don't know what is. Brendan Laval.
Just trying to get this one in a spot that's above the tee line.
Going hard.
Yeah, I'll be
The
happy
sit
with
two.
that one.
Yep, the sit two, and Ouellette wants some of that shrapnel in front to go away. Chris Grancelli throwing the bomb here to see if I'm clearing things up here. He'll actually lose the yellow and punch those blues in there, so now they're sitting 3.
Yeah, it just looked like he had a little bit of a wobble on that one, and he was trying to regain his balance and just threw it a hair wide on that. And this ice is just not overly forgiving, so if you're a bit wide of the broom, usually it rocks.
Yeah, I thought I saw a stumble too, so it's a... Pam Sullivan and I had the Arsenault versus Ladouceur game, and she was really impressed with, of course, how well the Arsenault team comes right out of the hack. Smooth and steady, square. You mentioned it, a little wobble there by Grancelli, and it cost them the loss of a rock and pushed the blue one in, so Bryce Everest blocking things off once again here for the Kendall Thompson team. So we're in the third stones here and in number 4. Flemming got off to a good start, getting 2 in the first, but it's been Kendall Thompson with hammer in 2, getting 2, and a steal 3, or steal 2 in 3, makes it 4-2. So that's joined us here. My name's Dan Hobson alongside Carly Jones, the L5 TV1 crew, our producer Chuck Calder. Chuck a little bit under the... Hope he gets better and appreciate his efforts here. Giving it the old college try on a Friday afternoon here as we approach 1 o'clock on the east coast of Canada. Cleans one of those blue stones out. Still lying 2 is Kendall Thompson here in 4th.
Kendall's team is doing a really good job at keeping the front very controlled this end. They're looking to replace the guard that he just previously threw.
Front end talking to Kendall. And comes to a stop as it was all on its own. Kevin Ouellette looking like one of those bobblehead dolls going back and forth, just circled his head here. She's like, what do I do? Where do I go? What am I? Bobbleheads go up and down, but he was going side to side.
No, I think
There's
he's
still lots of head movement for sure.
Yeah, he has to figure out which rock's hurting him the most right now. And then the second part was he wanted to find out how Mike was most comfortable throwing this stone. You can go either way. Either the in turn or the out turn. Looks like Mike has opted to play the in turn on this shot.
Grancelli right all over that rock here. Tried to push the blue out of the 4-foot area, or 8-foot area, pardon me, but it just slides by and back to Thompson lying 2 here. Oh yeah, I'm telling you, early on here, just in N4, you see a lot of the players putting their fingers on ice, like picking up stuff or checking out ice conditions. You can see that it's already in their head, and usually see that probably close to like the late stages of the game, but to be this early. You know, it's playing with them mentally. As we're at Skip Rocks here at 4. Here's Kendall Thompson out of the Mayflower Curling Club, leading by 2. Brown, Lavelle. Do slight cleaning, blocking that path there for the Ouellette foursome.
I don't think it's exactly where Kendall wanted it. You did see Bryce standing there a little closer to the house. But of course, still in a spot where it's going to make it a little bit more challenging for Kevin to get into the forfeit area.
So bottom of the screen, you had more front-end communication with Grancelli and McDermott Jr. Picking up some chatter on the other sheets. Dacey tied at 3. McDougall Power tied at 2. Stevens on top of Murphy, 2-1.
Kevin's going to try to get to the forefoot now. He does have a hole there he can get through. Sweeper saying it is a little heavy, but staying close. Does get a little bit of a tick.
Knock, and pushes the blue even closer.
Yeah, I think the weight would have been close on that one. It just didn't quite have the line. Kendall has a couple options here. He can come into the rings if he chooses so. But I think they'd be happy just blocking off this hole and really taking away any easy shot that Kevin would have for one.
Kendall Thompson of the Mayflower Curling Club of his last rock here in 4. Lavelle gets on it now. Just a slight brush or two, and will rest there right on the tee of the Deloitte logo in front of the house. Almost sort of like a repeat of the previous head. Path's pretty well blocked off here for Ouellette here, of course, who has the hammer here in 4.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
and nothing really even to run back to it even.
They are looking at the Yellowstone to see whether or not if they throw back 8 weights or back 4 weights, if they can just squeak by that top blue guard and promote their Yellowstone to the fourth area. So it looks like that's the shot they are calling.
Now, you mentioned earlier about that the swing's not quite there. Do you think the swing is there for this one? Be tough.
I mean, obviously, with the
Every
less weight you
tough.
throw, the more curl you'll get. So I would say on this one, you're throwing at most back 8. Back 4, you'll even maybe get a touch more curl. And you just got to take minimum ice on this one and play it tight to the guard so you can give this rock a good chance, bring your sweepers into the shot.
Stone here for Kevin Ouellette, skipping the Mike Flemming foursome of the Mayflower Curling Club.
So Chris is saying that the rock is quite heavy. He's signaling that it's hack weight right now, which means the rock will rest in the hack. So a little lucky on that one, actually. He hits one of the blue stones out to only give up a steal of 1. So not the shot he wanted, but works out okay for him. So a steal of 1 for Kendall Thompson here in the 4th end of play to go 2 after 4.
Oh, Power breaking away from McDougal. Got a 3 spot in the fourth end. 5-2. Play on sheet D. Jim Nix. Paul with the call on that one for Bell 5 TV 1. And Daisy Thompson, they're still tied at 3s. And nothing still new to report with the Stevens-Murphy in the battle of first place on sheet E. Still 2, but we'll get you updates on that one.
Yeah, it looks like they're just rounding out the fourth end right now with Chad Stevens throwing his last.
I've seen this sort of style of play, of course, bring the first stone into the house, and then, of course, needing offense, need to generate offense. Flemming has a hammer here in fifth. You see him throwing the yellow stones. Don McDermott Jr. Well, just ignored and throw up a guard. A long guard, but a guard nonetheless.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy with that. It's pretty tough to get around really tight guards, the ice being straight like it is right now. So anywhere that's around halfway towards the rings is ideally where these guys would like to have their corner guards. So Kendall looking to guard his stone in the rings. Just waiting for it to sit so it doesn't overcurl.
Just does stop in time. Here's Don McDermott, 39-year-old vice president and commercial insurance broker at Stanhope Simpson Insurance. 2012 and 2014 Nova Scotia provincial champion for Jamie Murphy. Around that long yellow guard, not even close to that blue one. Well out there, starting to come in. We'll put the brakes there in the 8-foot area, just right on the tee line. Shot rock momentarily belonging to the Mike Flemming team out of the Mayflower.
So Kendall takes no time to think about this one. He's gonna peel the corner guard that Don put there on his first shot.
Gets a piece of the rock. They're trying to push it over. Nice brushing to get it to the side there by the Kendall Thompson team. Something that they could use, but of course they don't want really blocking anything. Of course, being up by 3. Don't want to leave really anything or give any offensive chances here to force them. The 45-year-old Chris Grancelli, account manager for Eustis Insurance Group. 1989 and 1991 Nova Scotia Junior Provincial Champion. 2009 Nova Scotia Provincial Champion. And 2013 and 2015 Nova Scotia Provincial Mixed Champion. And 2013 Canadian Championship.
That was definitely a miss on Chris's part. Just wanted to draw in there, and he bounced off the blue stone. It rolled over to the side, leaving this double opportunity for Brennan.
Yeah, he's having a little struggle. Can't see it on camera, but it's frustration starting to mount. Flemming trying to pump his tires as the young kids stay, and you might have heard a little bit of a slam there a couple of times, and you see it in the back of your screen as the throw from Laval's on its way. Flemming coming over, say, "Get it out of your head, big. Need you here. Still a long way to go." Feel like we settled this a lot here in this game. Eric Early, Thompson lying too.
Yeah, and I think Flemming's just at the point where they're just gonna junk it up as much as they can and get some young play. Just ignoring the 2 blue stones. Of course, being down 3, you just have to kind of change up your game a bit and see what you can do to generate points. So.
Dermott waiting for the instructions, on, off, and
gets a little tick on the side one to roll in behind cover.
Thompson, as you see, taking some time to think, and now we'll come out and take a look at it. And he says, not to worry right now. Let's just get rid of this one.
Yeah, I think he's just playing the straight peel on this one, realizing aren't really going to help him right now.
Yeah. Or, well,
yeah.
works out okay.
Yeah, it's just, I couldn't really tell if he got wide on that one, but yeah, it's plan X. Gets the yellow rock out of the rings.
Yeah, because I was seeing the call, and of course that's why you're here, to provide the person who's lacks the curling experience in myself, but enjoys the sport, doesn't play it, but enjoys watching it. And you said that's what was the call, and then I'm looking at it, it's like, did they change their mind on that? It's
yeah,
like,
no.
Sometimes it phases me, but I mean, whatever, it works out the benefit. They're flying too here.
Yeah. I just, I think it goes back to what I've been saying this whole game, is that the ice is really straight. Kendall was giving him edge of the rock, but I almost feel that Kendall, probably could have gone away with giving him ice in the middle of the rock, and the rocks do float out a little bit when you let go of them, so. In a good position, so.
Just give a touch of that, and because of that, it didn't have enough gas to come in or do anything to maybe get to be the shot rock. It's second shot right now, so it does sort of help with that one, but you rub on guards, all of a sudden your shot doesn't go the way that you'd like. And now, of course, that's easily accessible. Here knows it, so possibly.
They're just talking about where they want this zone to end up. They don't want to put it in a spot where the Flemming team can use that rock to their advantage.
Bryce Everest here, number 5. Fleming's lead has gone by the wayside. He got 2 in the first, but it's been Thompson ever since.
So they'll be happy with that one. The worst place for them to roll would have been if they rolled into the inside and ended up somewhere behind the tee line or in a spot where it creates a wall. This wall, of course, is a little smaller, but still 3 rocks left for the Flemming rink to make a play. So looks like Kevin is calling the draw. He'll be looking just to sit in front of that blue stone that's in the 4-foot.
Mike Flemming and 5.
It's got a lot of rotation on it right now.
Yep, spinning around like a top. Granch gets on it. And it hang on there in the back 4. Just around.
It looks to me like it's hard to tell who's shot rock now. I think it's yellow.
I like the yellow one.
Yeah, it looks like yellow has more of the 4-foot. Actually, on the viewers at home, it almost kind of looks like blue is shot rock, but on the camera here at the club, it looks like yellow has more of the 4-foot. It's very deceiving.
Yeah.
see Mike there trying to perfect his release. Now he looks like he's trying to figure out his baseball swing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a pretty relaxed team, as you've just seen, the Flemming. It's rare that you don't go by and see a smile on at least one of the four individuals' faces when they're playing. Sometimes all four. Go to try to be a journalist and ask serious questions, and here they are, like, joking. And it's like my train of thought sometimes just goes caboose. Thompson. He was pretty well encouraging them all the way, and shot rock right almost on the lid.
Yeah, it's a really good shot. Not only is he shot rock, but he was able to tuck just a piece of his stone behind his top blue one. So that's a really difficult shot, difficult rock that Kevin's going to have to deal with in one way or another. But it's hard to say, with moving that blue stone, whether or not, I don't think he's not going to be able to touch his one in the back four. It looks like with this ice, he might be trying to play this straight pick, so he might just be trying to hit about a quarter of it and just hit it out over the top of the yellow and make Kendall make that same shot again.
He must feel like every time he's gone down to the hack, he's always had to make a difficult shot here in this game. Ouellette is going to skip rocks in 5. Throwing a missile, nothing laid to it, hasn't brought. Of course, just the yellow back. Blue will stay pretty well there, and now trying to figure out where you can get another one in there.
So Kendall's just going to look to guard this situation. And like we've been talking about the last few ends, making the forfeit pretty inaccessible to Kevin on his last rock. Kevin's going to be faced yet again with a pretty challenging shot.
In the background,
and,
sorry.
I was just going to say, to be totally honest, if he gets a guard out of this, which he likely will, I don't really see anything that Kevin will have to get shot rock.
Kevin and Mike there in the background. Kevin, of course, is a chef for PSB Food Services, and Mike is an RBC mortgage specialist. And they're in tough with this gentleman here, Kendall Thompson, of the Mayflower Curling Club. Was sitting on top. Had a tough yesterday, dropped to 3-2, hoping to get another winning streak underway here today. A win over Flemming with his last rock here in 5.
It's a pretty good shot. He promotes his Bluestone 2-second shot.
Well, there you go. He's had steals in 3 and 4, hoping to do the same here in 5.
Yeah, I don't really, just trying to look at this, see if there's anything really that he can play to get shot stone. I feel that you just have to kind of throw that big weight again and see if you can get rid of at least 2 blue stones and maybe just give up a steal of 1. Maybe hope that blue stone bounces up over top, but I think it's a pretty well-formed pocket that hitting that blue stone is just going to sit right there if they do eliminate. I think they're just talking about now where they have to hit it if they do get that bouncing action. It's it's kind of different that when you're watching the guys on TV when they're playing on arena ice. The rocks are so lively and the ice is just so different that you see so much more action in the house with the rocks, where if you hit that with a ton of weight, you're going to see all the rocks go. And these rocks are pretty lively themselves, but you just have to be a little bit more precise to make those shots. So we'll see what Kevin does here on his last one.
Yep, he's throwing a bomb and hoping for good results. Final stone for Ouellette.
He does get the bounce that I was talking about, so it looks like he did get shot rock.
Yeah, he'll get one. But they're going to look at it. They got to bring the measurement tool out.
Just bounced up just enough. It got a little bit of a kick, so yeah, I definitely think they'll put a stick on this one.
See if they get an official to. Let's say it's for one for now. So Flemming 5-3 as we head to the. Unless.
I would.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm not sure. Oh, looks like it was blue.
Yeah, it was a steal one. So it's. Sorry about that. 6-1.
Yeah. Really good attempt by Kevin there on his last one. So we're headed into the fifth end break here.
Yeah, steals in 3, 4, and 5 have opened 6-1 as we head to the fifth end break here between Kendall Thompson and Mike Flemming. You're watching Bell 5 TV's One's coverage. Draw number 6 in Nova Scotia men's Deloitte Tankard. Back in a bit.
Right where we want to be, Ken. It's 2 better than being down 6 after.
Watch out for you guys.
find the ice at least to help us with the rain. Honestly, in heights, I think it had to smell less weight, but I think I almost had to pour through that port. Oh, did it? Okay.
And we almost, and it still almost broke down.
I didn't see how that much happened.
And welcome back to the Dartmouth Curling Club, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. We're here for the 2018 Nova Scotia Men's Deloitte Tankard. Draw 6. It is the Kendall Thompson team out of the Mayflower Curling Club leading 6-2 as we play in 6. Flemming has the hammer once again, throwing the yellow stones. My name's Dan Hobson, and joining me for the call here on this one is Carly Jones. And Carly and I had a little bit of a conversation just before we went on air talking to Don Flemming. He's Paul and Mike's dad. It was 50 years ago this week. He skipped and on this very sheet had to make 2 double takeouts for the win to go to the Brier, and he made them successfully. And that happened 50 years ago this week on this exact sheet.
Pretty exciting stuff. Yep.
We were not here for that.
No, we weren't. Nope. It's
But-
funny though, when he came up and talked to us, I actually had never met Don before, but looking at him and he looked kind of familiar. He kinda
Well, the thing
looks like
is you
Paul
guys,
and Mike.
basically the curling people, either competitors on the ice, are like one huge family. Like, you know, they pretty well know each other, talk to each other. So, you know, it's what they use. It's not just it's people, you know, not just strangers. It's just friends you haven't met yet is the term that they use.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I can attest to that. I moved to Halifax in 2012 and from Thunder Bay, Ontario, and was a curler, joined the community here, and everyone's extremely welcoming, and you know, everyone really gets along here, and it's a really nice community for everyone. It's a great sport. So
I think of Thunder Bay. I think of that ski jumping hill that they had there. And
yeah,
did you ever think about, geez, maybe I should get into ski jumping? Did that ever happen to you?
didn't quite cross my mind.
Well, yeah, putting a pair of sticks on and going
Yeah.
down a frozen snow and then jumping, you know.
Well, the thing is about that is when you curl, and I've been actually curling since I've been 5 years old, you're a little worried about injuring yourself and not being able to curl. So skiing's kind of not really in the picture until all competitive curling is done. So
Yeah, so I just found out something all about you. She likes to keep both feet on the ground as opposed to
I
in the air.
really
Yep.
like to keep both feet on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
See, we don't have like ski jumping facilities here in the East Coast, so it's never did cross any of our minds.
I think that's really cool of you to bring that up. I think it was in 1998 they had the World Ski Jumping Competition in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and I think I was there. From my don't really remember too much of it happening, but I know that I was there. So
Yeah.
All
I'm
right,
going to
so-
kind of age myself as I remember that Horst Bulisle was a ski jumper. Haven't really seen much of ski jumping probably in the last 15 years, so I know there's probably other names, but I remember that name.
Yeah, with the Olympics coming up, I'm sure we'll be seeing lots of sports we don't normally get to see. And of course the curling, which will be fantastic with Rachel Homan and Kevin Cooey representing Canada in the women's and men's respectively.
That mixed doubles, boy, that's
Yeah, I should mention that.
that's a pretty busy thing. I'll tell you, all of a
Yep.
sudden throw the rock, and it's like you can't even tell your sweepers to go hard because, well, there aren't any because you have to get up and do it yourself.
Yep.
I imagine that makes for quite an adjustment. Get so used to, looking, following the path. Oh, I got to get up now.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweep this.
Yeah, and of course, Caitlin Laws and John Morris will be representing Canada at the Olympics for the mixed doubles competition. Ooh, he just misses the yellow one. So they'll be there in Pyeongchang representing Canada, and just kind of, it's interesting. They're they're both incredibly good at it. Typically, John Morris plays with Rachel Homan, but John and Caitlin both being thirds, they seem to have the whole throw the rock, get up, sweep it, judge the weights thing really down pat. So I think really mixed doubles seems to lend itself to typically play third. So.
And of course, they've also been people that have skipped in the junior level as well. So it just makes for
exactly.
great team. They're just their portfolios, resumes, whatever the word you want to use, just seems to be pretty well the same for the both of them.
All right, so for those of you just joining the sixth end of play here at the 2018 Deloitte Tankard.
3 for 3 today.
Bryce Everest here throwing his first stone. Looking to move the yellow rocks in the rings.
They're going hard on this one here. Brown, head downs. Removes the blue, puts one of the yellow to the wing, so Flemming line 2 here in the sixth, just past the halfway point and back from the midpoint break. During the midpoint break, Mike Flemming just sat on the bench there. We'll see him here in just a second. They're bench behind where they're throwing from, and just didn't seem too happy, and a little bit of frustration, and was sort of starting, especially on that. Of course, the steals have been the story of this one. Steals by Thompson, the third, fourth, and fifth, and.
Yeah, no, it could definitely be tough, but they've made some shots to kind of cut their losses a bit, and they do have hammer right now, and they're about to sit 3, so a little bit more favorable situation for them that we've seen throughout this game. It just slides a little deep on that one.
Yep, they are lying 3, but 2 just past the T line, 1 back 8. And
I'm a little surprised he's playing this. You're up 4. Now you're getting into that. Of course, you want to put this in a spot that makes it tough for Mike to get his in there. But I'd be slightly tempted to hit the yellow rock over on the left-hand side and roll in just to minimize damage. Just waiting for this one to curl.
Brown Lavelle.
Just gonna go the back one. Just
Slight
a little
bump.
heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, they would have liked to have been on the lid of that one.
He has second shot, so Kevin's going to ignore that blue stone and try to put this one in a bit better spot than Mike's last stone thrown.
There with who that was, Grinchelli. Now he's on the rock, and definitely communicating, and now McDermott going on it. Not too terrible.
No, it works out okay, but just didn't quite make that adjustment that he needed. Still heavy. So chance now for Kendall to try to lock one on. Of course, there's only 2 stones left.
Stuart Thompson's gone ahead of Mark Dacey, 5-4 as they're at the 5th in break. And a battle of 3-2 teams.
Yeah, big on sheet B for sure.
They came into today tied up top of the standings, both Chad Stevens and Jamie Murphy, and they still remain tied as they play the 6-3-3.
They're still waiting for this one to curl. It's not moving at all. It's trying to now.
Back four will just come to a stop
Yeah,
there on the lead.
Yeah. Decision time now for Kevin. It looks like he's going to hit that blue stone and possibly catch the back blue on its way by. I think the biggest is he wants to make sure, I think he'd like to see his shooter roll a little bit towards the other yellow stone. Just sitting above it. I wish I could put a little rock right there, just above the button.
You want to tell us, Street?
Yeah. And if he puts a rock there, I mean, they're going to be sitting 3, maybe even more than that, depending on how this blue one catches the back one. It's going to be really tough for Kendall to get one in there. Of course, if he rolls a little too far, then Kendall we'll see him play the same shot as he did on his last.
So all these Christmas presents that you just got a few weeks ago, I bet you did not ask for a telestrator for Christmas.
No.
But now you one. Bring it
Didn't
with
ask
you?
for that.
Yeah.
I did ask for a couple curling apparel items, which I did receive, so that was nice.
Grancelli on it here. Skip rocks in 6. Punches his yellow, blue in the process, and looking pretty good
Yeah,
here.
it actually worked up quite well.
Line 2.
Yeah, I thought definitely if he, with the roll, he was going to roll a little bit over the top, but it actually just kind of hit it straight on and sat right on the tee line. The shot's still available for Kendall to play, but it's a little scary. I mean, he only has that lonely blue in the back, and otherwise there's 5 other yellows in the ring, so he's going to have to make a really good one on this one. And I mean, you hang it wide at all, we might be setting up something for more than 2 here for Kevin on his last.
You mentioned it earlier. I asked you earlier that I'd like to play with a lot of rocks in play. Could be playing with fire here at number 6. As you mentioned, 5 yellow stones belonging to the Ouellette foursome out of the Mayflower Curling Club.
One's looking pretty good coming in. Don't bounce. You just want to sit on top of it. It's a little heavy.
Little bounce.
Kevin at all can get to the inside of that blue stone.
Well, if anything, it would make it so
Oh,
you
yeah.
can push the blue back, but
This is not
keep
a
away.
good situation for Kendall. I don't think this is how Kendall envisioned playing the 6th end, that's for sure. See him a little frustrated in the back as to how the
we
end
heard
shaped
that.
up.
We heard that broom drop. Pitchers tell the story there.
So this is an opportunity for Kevin here to maybe get a bundle.
Flemming lining it up. So in the background, Kendall Thompson sitting down. Just during the 5th end break, Flemming sort of had the same look on his face. And now Thompson has it. And all he can do is really sit back and wait to see what happens here for Kevin Ouellette throwing the final stone and calling the game here this afternoon for the Mike Flemming foursome out of the Mayflower Curling Club. The Cardiac Kids, do they have another comeback in them? Punches.
Oh, wow.
1, 2,
Yikes.
3, 4, 5. That quiets things here.
Well, I guess that's what happens when you don't really hit much and you just put everything in the rings. You manage to.
I thought we were on that top one.
Waiting to verify the score. I thought it might have been 5, but we'll wait to see.
And it was goes the third or fourth guy.
Anyway, it's a big shock, and sometimes when those big ends happen around here in the rink, you know it because things get quiet right in the broadcast area that we are at. We are in with a little bit of the audience, so a hush has gone over here. So we head to end number 7. So, of course, we'll wait till the official score to go up before we... I believe it was 5, but I could be wrong on that. So
Yeah, I thought I counted 6, but I also was kind of holding my breath on that one, so I'm not sure if I saw it properly. But it does look like right now, on at least our guys from downstairs are saying it was 5, so we'll see here in just a second when Mike puts up the score what it was, but probably was 5. I'm taking your judgment on this one.
Well, I have to say that
It was 6 points. It was 6.
It was
Yeah.
6. Okay, so
I thought that's what I counted. So
there was a blue one there that I might have thought was closer, but no, but it is 8. So thank you very much there, Chuck, and patience there for everybody back there because I have never seen too many 5 or 6 spots.
Well, they gave up a 6 last night to Murphy in the 9th end, so, I mean, it's not often these guys are giving up 6, I'll tell you that much. I hate to say this, but of course we'll focus on this end in just a moment, but again, I'm surprised they started getting into that draw game because that's kind of, what's going to save Kevin in that situation. I think, you're up 4 points, you got to take a second look at that scoreboard and say, hey, maybe we should look at, hitting this yellow rock and getting rocks out. Because those rocks end up being counters in the end. And for sure.
Everybody trying to get their get back to life, back to normality here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. Kevin Ouellette with a 6-pack in the 6 to go ahead 8-6, and all of a sudden people will probably be looking over. The players on the ice looking over and seeing the shock of that one. In control, but this is the thing, happened yesterday. I'm starting to call this Flemming team the cardiac kids. They seem to know when the camera lights are on, they get down and big bunch and then seem to find their way back. This time they didn't have to steal. They put a 6-pack on top as we play the 7th. But still anybody's game, 8-6, as Thompson has the hammer here, throwing the Blue Stones in 7. But all of a sudden the game plan changes. Ouellette's been pretty well chasing it here since the 3rd end. Now can basically dictate the game and get the play and probably play a little more defensively here.
I mean, obviously giving up a 6 is really tough and it's gonna put a number on things, no question. But got to take a second, take a breath, look at the scoreboard, right? It's 8-6, and you have hammer. That's not a bad situation to be in. You get your 2 points. It's tie game. Still got 3 ends to play. These guys are all out here to play, and no one's going to let up it. You have to always, keep your guard up and stay focused, and try not to let it affect you. So that's what these guys are really going to have to do, and hopefully they can do that because it's not fun to watch teams crumble. So hopefully we'll have a strong next 3 ends coming up here for us to watch.
Those are very fine points, as you mentioned, and right, of course, you're in the sport as well. So I mean, that's the way you do it as a player, and you're just passing along there for the folks at home, of course, who may not be playing the sport, or maybe just like a watcher, just like myself. So that's the mentality. So appreciate that piece of information.
Oh, thank you. A little easier said than done, but these guys know what they have to do, right? And everyone's been there where they've given up big ends, so you just have to regroup and just keep curling and make your shots. Hit the broom, throw the right weight.
I said this with Pan Sullivan this morning, is that, you look at it, all of a sudden the score may not indicate how well you played throughout the entire thing, like the lad serve force them. In the women's side, it's just maybe one in or maybe sometimes two ins that, of course, are just the bad ones or sort of gets away from you.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
you just want to
definitely.
get rid of those
Yeah.
and take the positive. Well, we played good for 8 ins. Maybe it's just that one in that just
Yeah.
the train came off the tracks for that one.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. So, lots of action going on out here. Got lots of spectators out on the ice, much more than last night. See some familiar faces. We have Jamie Murphy's wife out there with one of their children. Mark Dacey's 2 boys are out there. We have a whole clan of fans out watching Stuart Thompson rink, as well Kendall's parents watching both sons play.
And of course, they are here. And what I mean by that is that if they were, called in sick at work, you kind of threw them underneath the bus on line with that. But I think they'll be okay. Probably took the day to come and enjoy. Of course, it's a Friday. It's a warm Friday. Why not take the afternoon off and come to the rink? Why not?
I'm on vacation right now. Vacation has a whole new meaning when you start working full time. So. And I'm spending it here.
I spend my vacations here working 13, 14-hour days at a rink, so probably about the same as mine is, where a lot of days coming here. And
just coming up a little short on that one. I think he was looking to freeze inside that pocket. But it's a rock that Kevin has to be careful with here. There's a lot of yellows back there that blue rock can jam on, so just gotta make sure you hit this blue one in a good spot so that you can avoid that.
Mike Flemming throwing a howitzer here, and in 7, punches it out. 4. Once again here for the Flemming foursome out of the Mayflower Curling Club here in the late stages of end number 7. Going to be once again, getting to know Carly Jones. So the question is, Bryce Everest after a loss.
He's pretty get too worked up. This morning he did say he's a little anxious going in today. Of course, 2 big games, but him and the rest of them, they're all, like I said, they're pretty relaxed and they know what they got to do, so they don't get too upset, which is nice. So everyone's different with how they react, but let's not talk about that because they're hopefully not going to lose this game. So we won't have to worry about that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, because I had Luke Saunders on a couple of days ago, and he was saying it probably was a little different, and he said,
That's a great question. I'd love to hear that response from Luke.
Yeah, well, the answer was this. He said, his dad watches Scott, so he says, he makes sure that the house is clean when Colleen comes home, make sure everything's good.
Oh, that's funny. I did think about that.
Luke's still a little upset that Colleen's mother took his hat. The gray toque she's been wearing. He even said, "Mom, I want my hat back on here."
That's awesome. Just a PSA. Give me my hat back.
Yeah.
All right, so we got one blue one in the rings here. They are sitting on rock as it looks from our monitors, but of course, as we've found, it's a little tough for us to tell on our end who is shot rock. I've been wrong twice now.
I don't think anybody's keeping score at home. I hope nobody's keeping score at home.
You can see that.
It's just so tough when they get get so close to see, and as I say, cameras are great to cover things, but may not tell the full story here as we're into skip stones here in 7. Ouellette trying to punch that blue one out.
Yeah, very nice call. If he can get this one to a good spot, it's going to be quite tough.
Or even just block a little bit and try to push it out. Oh, put it in there, but he's got backing. And
he gets right into the pocket. Yeah, I think he would have liked to have been a little bit more on top of that blue and maybe punch it back a bit. So I think he was just a hair light on that one. So the scoring area is quite shrunk now for Kendall. So Kendall's going to look to just sit on top of this yellow. Make it tough for Kevin to get in there on his last one. And see if he can leave himself to score multiples. Hear the communication out on the ice right now. They're saying it's there. Line's looking really good. Looks like it's going to sit right on top of it. Very well placed stone by Kendall.
good bounce back for them. Had to force the hand there of the Ouellette foursome. He had a beauty of a shot there, and in number 6 to get 6 as Kevin Ouellette makes his way up the ice here. The throw here in 7. Shot rock belonging to Kendall Thompson. Taking a breath there, and now readjust himself for this throw from Kevin Ouellette of the Mayflower Curling Club. As he throws his last in 7. Light brushing from Don McDermott, then Grancelli. Now Grancelli is off.
Just going to sit in front of it. Going to be pretty happy with that shot.
Question in Curly, is Kendall going to have somewhere to go here for his last shot?
It's hard to tell whether or not he'd be able to get his shooter into a position. I see Bryce there notioning that maybe get to the inside of that Yellowstone, but I'm not sure if he can. It looks like he has to grab a piece of the button almost, because that blue rock is dead center on the button, but that yellow rock right behind it is actually just touching the button. Yep. So you would have to at least touch the button, if not somehow maybe move that Yellowstone back a bit.
Sometimes when we see situations like this with the final stone, they don't really want to mess anything and just decide to, just put her out on the wings and throw it through. Maybe one of their choices. Of course, they don't really want to do that because they definitely have Hammer here and would love to get there too to tie things again. But if the circumstances aren't there, the circumstances aren't there.
No, exactly.
I didn't quite see the call, but you could see some extra cleaning here by the 3/4 here of this Kendall Thompson team. Brown and Laval.
So I'm not really quite sure what their call is. I think we'll have a better idea when Kendall comes out of the hack whether or not he's playing some, like he could potentially play some weight at it, hit that yellow onto the blue and roll off. But looks like he's. I hear them calling back for us. I think they're trying to get that little inside roll and hopefully manage to sneak in. Calling sweepers on. It is curling.
Final stone for Thompson here in 7.
So I think it's just a little light.
Just bumped the yellow, so
they'll get their one here in the 7th.
yeah, 1 blue.
So they'll go into the 8th then down 1, which is not something I think we saw ourselves saying after the 5th then break. It looked like, Thompson's really had a commanding lead and had complete control over this game up until this point. But they're going to be looking to, it would have been really tough to score 2 there. So I think, just be happy you got your 1 and get your steel and pants on here and try to score here in the ever so important 8th end.
Well, they didn't really want to, of course, be too heavy to the fact that they knock it out and give up something. So if they're going to throw it through, it might as well be light, and that's what happened. So 8-7 as we head to the 8th. Flemming with the hammer throw the yellow stones. It is draw number 6 here of the 2018 Nova Scotia Deloitte Tankard here on Bell 5 TV1. Kendall Thompson came in today at 3-2, and Flemming 1-4. Flemming trying to be playing the spoiler here and drop Thompson to 3-3. And paying attention to this one, Murphy starting to pull away from Stevens, down 5-3 as they play the 7th on sheet E. The place teams, the battle for first place, and nothing new to report there with Stuart Thompson and Mark Dacey is 5-4 in the 6. They've got a lot of rocks in play, so that's going to probably change here in a few moments as they're into the late stages on sheet B.
Yeah, and they're only in the 6th end, and they both just under 14, just into the 13th minute for Dacey, and 14 minutes left on the clock for Thompson. So I can foresee some time issues there on that sheet. That's they're gonna have to play some quick curling in the second half of this game. That's for sure.
Guard thrown up here by Thompson and another one. See, the yellow one went to the back there for Flemming.
Yeah, nice little setup there by Jared Brown to start off the end. 2 centerline guards with some separation between them. Make it difficult to remove both of them.
Don McDermott with his throw here in 8. Slight plating. Grancelli. Flemming jumps in now. And you can hear Don saying hard. They're going hard here, trying to bend around. Yeah, sit in the 4-foot area right along the center line.
Yeah, that's a good shot by Don. So Brennan will be looking to follow him down and freeze on top of the Yellowstone in the 4-foot.
Second rocks here in 8. Brown, Everest, off of it.
You can hear the crowd cheering as Stuart Thompson just made an excellent shot to get his goal, where he looked like he was probably going to give up a steal of 1 or 2 there.
So, that's going to ask Grancelli to clear some of that blue shrapnel up front. And successful.
Gets a single peel. So Kendall's looking to get another one in the rings. Of course, trying to keep the play towards the center to give him an opportunity to shrink down that scoring area for Kevin here in the 8th end of play.
Still nothing new to report in the battle of first place teams. Still 5-3. Murphy over Stevens. As Laval Stone is slowly coming to a stop, but the front end rushing it hard, and they'll get it into the 8-foot area right now.
Yeah, that's quite a nice shot actually by Brendan. The angles are lined up really nice where those blue rocks will go 1-1 onto that yellow in the rings. So well, that's going to be facing a little bit of trouble, but of course he does have last rock advantage here in the 8th. So I think I'm just going to have a quick chat about what's going on here, but I would have to say the peel is the best call here, just to keep things open.
Yeah, it's the clean play.
Yeah, especially when you're nearing the end of the game and there's not many more opportunities left. You want to make sure that you're giving yourselves the opportunities you need, and you accomplish that by making sure you keep the front clean.
Goes by the nickname of Gretsch as he throws a big missile on, removes, of course, the blue. Making the safe call, and that's the call that we both like.
Yeah, so I think on this one they'll just be looking to replace the guard. Likely we'll see the peel again, and then I think at that point, it's hard to say, there'll only be 3 rocks left. We might see them throw the guard back up again, or we might see them play on those blue stones, just throwing maybe like back 4 weight just to keep those angles set up really nice, and to wait for that best opportunity to pounce on that yellow stone. So the guard goes back up by Bryce.
Yeah, you talked about the Stuart Thompson shot that got the reaction here close to our broadcast location. What's for a single point? So 6-4, so they go to 7. One of those teams will drop to 3-3. It's a battle of 3-2 teams. And everybody wanting to know is get into the nitty gritty. Of course, this is draw 6, 1 left to go, and they'll have the evening draw. Try to figure out who the top 3 teams are. And we'll have coverage here. Let everybody know how the round robin ends. The final day here of these provincial championships. The Deloitte Tankard and the Scotia Hearts. Proudly being seen here on the home of Nova Scotia Curling, Bell 5 TV1, as Bryce Everest throws his last rock here in the 3rd in, as we're in the 3rd rocks. 8th in.
Yeah, so just looking to replace that guard again. Like I said, they'll wait until it gets closer, when they're on Kendall's rocks and then Kevin's throwing to make their play on that yellow. Of course, with throwing up this guard, we're going to see Kevin continue to play that peel to give himself the best chance to score here.
Just after 2 o'clock here, Atlantic Standard Time. Wherever you're watching, hope you're enjoying it, whether it's around the world, down south. Glad you could join us here on Bell 5 TV1's online coverage of the Deloitte Tankard. My name's Dan Thompson. She's Carly Jones. Our producer, Chuck Calder. And you this one. It's had more ups and downs than a roller coaster at an amusement park. But it's been entertaining. 8-7 as we play the 8th. And it looked like Thompson was going to run away with it, but a big 6 by Kevin Ouellette, who was skipping the team, known as Mike, as they made the adjustment in the lineup a couple of days ago. And they're getting the results. They have already got 1 win and are going, hoping to get a 2nd win and bring Thompson down to a 3rd loss for him. Is what they're trying to play here. as we're into the skip rocks here in 8. Brent McDougall starting to run away there on sheet D with Jim Nixon ball. 9-6 as they play the 8th. The 8th end. Those teams playing for pride. They come in at 1-4. Trying to finish the best that they can, but playoffs out of their future. Comes to stop along center line.
Yeah, so Kendall's just going to wait till... I'm a little surprised he didn't make a play on rock now. I mean, it's always tough, right? You want to get rid of shot rock and be shot rock, but at the same time, if you really want to steal, you have to be patient. And, I mean, I think Kendall in this situation, I think they'd be fine. If they gave up 1, they're going to go into the 9th end with hammer, at which point they can take 2 to tie the game, or they can try to go into the last end with hammer and blank the end. But yeah, a lot of teams to score in the 8th end is really important. Is by scoring in the 8th end, whoever has hammer in the 9th, which of course would be not the team that scored. If you give up hammer in the 9th, and if it is a close game, whoever goes into the 10th end really wants to have hammer. So by scoring in the 8th, you put yourself in a really good position to have hammer.
Kind of surprises me here that maybe they haven't called a timeout, because they're looking at 9.5 as on their clock right now as we in the later stages of the 8th. But usually you say what, about 3.5 minutes per thinking time you think?
It's 38 minutes for the game, so if you divide that by 10, 3.8. So ballpark around 4 minutes per end. And of course, when you get towards the end of the game, you often get into situations that require a little bit more thinking and, of course, more time to be used.
Well, there is a big discrepancy in the clock. 15:07 there for the Kendall Thompson team. 9:03 is the clock stop now for Ouellette. With his first year in number 8. He has the hammer, as you see, with that icon in the corner of your screen.
Yeah, so our viewers at home know what Kevin's trying to do here. He's actually just trying to guard the situation in the house so that Kendall can't promote those 2 blue stones that he had placed there. So I think that's, again, I'm not sure what the absolute right call is on this one, but I'm a little surprised for that reason that Kendall didn't make a play of some sort on his blue stones, because I think that if you think, well, what's Kevin going to play on his next one? He's probably going to guard this situation and make it really tough. And now you're going to be raising one of Kevin's yellow stones up onto your blue ones. So if he makes this shot perfectly, he should be sitting 2 after this. However, into a little bit of a risky situation where you are moving up one of the opponent's stones, which could potentially get into the house and be a counter later on. So big shot here for Kendall to really put some pressure on the Flemming rink and potentially sit 2 here going into the last shot.
That's his last rock, Kendall Thompson, here in 8 without hammer.
Just didn't make it. They're calling the sweeping, and see Kendall getting really into that one, but fortunately just misses it. So draw here for Kevin to get his 2. He'll be looking to get at least half, if not full 4 on the shot. It looks to me that if he, even if he just comes to the face of his yellow stone in the rings, he should be able to get his way as well. Oh, never mind. There is a guard out front right there now. So he's actually makes the shot a little bit tougher. He does have to get around that guard and grab a piece of the forefoot. So a little bit trickier than it was.
Sitting right now, trying to make it 2 here. The foul stone Kevin Ouellette of the Mayflower Curling Club. The Cardiac Kids have climbed back into this and budget a bit.
Yeah, just maybe a hair one. I think at most it probably would have made it to the 8-foot. And of course, when you're a little late, you see that little extra curl. So
single point here for Flemming and Ouellette in 8, going to 9. 9-7. Hammer will be in possession of Kendall Thompson.
Must have hit a flat spot. Yeah. Why would that change now?
Murphy with another point.
Yeah.
Correction. It's still the same score, 6-3, as they ran into the 8th there, 6-3. And Thompson 6-4, playing the 7th on sheet B. Those are the ones, of course, the people who are unable to get to the Lake Curling Club here in Dartmouth Curling Club. Want to get updates on that one. And McDougall leading Power to 6. As we get back to in number 9 here. Draw number 6 in the Nova Scotia Men's Deloitte Tankard here in Bell 5 TV1. Delighted to have Carly Jones, of course, is the girlfriend of Bryce Everest here of the Kendall Thompson team, who are playing the Bluestones, and Mike Flemming here in the yellow. Delighted to have you here once again, Carly.
it's always a pleasure to have an opportunity to be able to call these games here. The curling is always great to watch, and it's the best curling event of the year in Nova Scotia. So, and of course, it's our first game commentating together as we have to get you out curling this year. I think we'll put everything into a little bit more context, and you can talk about your experiences. And
it would be ugly.
yeah. I wonder. I actually never thought about this until now. I wonder if Vic Rother has ever. He must have curled at some point. Can't imagine he hasn't, but you don't ever really hear him, commenting on that or anything like that. So.
Three sweepers coming in to assist on this one. Flemming and Ouellette. Gathering of the clan. Comes to a stop just outside the rings. Jared Brown. So once again, we get into a situation here. It's the Yellowstones and the house being ignored by Kendall Thompson.
Yeah, it's pretty crucial in this end that Kendall, does what he needs to do to get 2, or just score for that matter. Scoring is absolutely number 1, the goal here. I think regardless whether you're down 1 or you're tied, you're going to be looking at stealing 10th end. So, any points that are given to the Flemming rink, Kendall's going to be looking at having to take 3, and that's pretty tough to do, especially, in the 10th end when teams are being extremely defensive and hitting all the rocks in play. So really important here that the Thompson rink scores in the 9th end.
Grancelli will try to clean a little bit of that front rocks. Trying to split them all. Actually, well, the yellow to the side, the blue goes in. One of those yellows that, of course, they put in a house goes to a little bit towards the side.
It's a bit of an interesting call. I actually didn't really put much thought into it until now. By hitting that rock, I think he was just worried that blue rock was in a position where it was easily to be used by the Thompson rink. But now, we have these corner guards, and this is a really good opportunity for Kendall to, get his 2 on and make sure he can get his 2 in this end. I think it would have been a little bit more advantageous if Kevin had called that to all stay towards the center as opposed to rolling over. A little bit of an interesting call. Just waiting for this one to curl up, looking to get the roll behind the guards. It's really curling now.
Push one of those yellows closer to the 4-foot area, and the blue goes out.
I'm not too sure what happened on that one. It didn't really look like anyone was yelling to sweep in. It was just, it kept curling. You can see Kendall expressing a little bit of frustration, realizing that, I mean, I didn't see him calling them on sweep, so I'm thinking it was just a missed call on the sweeping there.
Yeah, it's a lot of strange looks at some of the competitors here on the Kendall Thompson team.
Well, it's so tough too because you want to make the shot as best as you can, right? But sometimes when you're in the ballpark, you just gotta maybe just call the sweeping on and see what you can do.
Timeout called here by the Ouellette foursome.
Yeah, just noting that making sure their clock is stopping. They're just gonna take a second here to talk about what they should do here.
Well, you mentioned those ones out there was more of a benefactor to Thompson, and already Flemming focusing his attention on those ones.
Yeah, they'll definitely benefit Kendall's team. However, Kendall's team also has Flemming's team rather has 2 rocks in the 4-foot, which at some point Kendall is going to have to deal with. So I really don't think that the corner guards are really problem rocks at this point. I just think that I think you should try your best to keep the play away from that, as to not bring them into the game is really what you need to do. I don't think you have to worry about getting rid of them. Just focus on the situation you have going on in the house right now and maybe look at protecting that, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing how the conversation has changed, because Flemming was putting his attention to those ones on the side you're talking about. Now they're back looking at those in the house.
And that's the thing, right? Like, we know those corner guards will benefit Kendall, but Kendall at any point is going to have to deal with those rocks in the rings. So the corner guards are really not going to do a whole lot as long as, you know, you have control of the 4-foot area. So personally, I think, you know, you just maybe stick one really tight, top 12. Maybe almost kind of guarding both of them.
Chris Grancelli here in 9. Light brushing from Flemming. McDermott going for a Friday afternoon stroll. Grancelli light brushing again.
So he's going to get away with it. It's a little heavier than what he wanted. And a chance now to get these rocks moving, get them out of that 4-foot area, and bring the play more over towards the left-hand side of your screen.
Brendan Laval. Brown and Everest on it already. Are those one of the yellows?
Yeah, I think it's not exactly what they were wanting. They wanted to hit more of the outside of that stone and roll over. Again, like I said, bring the play more towards the other side. I'm actually a little surprised they didn't throw more weight at that. It's important to score, but at the same time, you would like to get change up the situation a bit in the house, but I'm going to play the peel on this one. And I think at that point we may see them play the hit and roll behind the guard, so see what happens here.
Flemming.
Mike Flemming just threw the wrong rock. So for your viewers at home, sometimes
that's the second time that's happened.
Oh wow. So when that does happen, of course, you just
replace it. Right?
You replace it after the rock has after the play has stopped. Easy fix. So
man, everybody's like trying to throw curveballs at me. It was like, what's going on here? And I was like, and you picked it up pretty easily. And You know,
Well, I noticed when he was in the
Casey
Hackers.
Forsum did it last night, so it's like
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
we're trying to keep on top of things, and you know, this is, of course, you talk about the a lot of in a short amount of time, and sometimes, you know, if you're just picking the wrong color but you make the shot, I guess, yeah, you'll take that any day. It's just, as you say, replace it.
So really sweeping. It's curling quite a bit here right now. It's trying to keep it straight and roll.
Yeah, punches it, splits some of those yellow.
It's a pretty good shot. Oh, they're bringing down the Yellowstone now that Mike was supposed to throw. Yeah, even though that blue rock is pretty easy to hit, the situation is much better in the house. We got some separation between the Yellowstones. They're all behind the tee line as well, so they're rocks that Kendall can freeze down to as well and hopes to generate more than 1 point. But we'll see Kevin call the hit here.
And this time he's got the color. It's Flemming.
It jams a little bit and rolls over to the side. So now, like I said, those corner guards do come into play now. And not only that, but on Bryce's first shot, he was able to move the Yellowstone behind the tee line. So that Yellowstone's actually benefiting the Kendall Thompson rink now, and will act as almost like protection for their team in their hopes to get more than 1 point here. So final stone here for Bryce in the 9th end.
Brown and Lavelle on it already.
Trying to get some
Kendall
curl.
gets out there. Joins the party.
Very nice shot. Looks like he's pretty well buried. So by the looks of that broom, it looks like that Kevin's going to actually try to maybe play backline weight and remove that blue stone from play. That guard, the blue guard is long enough that he should be able to get by it. And it looks like the rock isn't totally fully buried. It looks like he can see a sliver of it, which is also helpful for him trying to get this rock out. So first stone here for Kevin.
And while that comes, we've update on sheet E. Jamie Murphy defeats Chad Stevens 8-3, and they shook heads in the 9th. So Murphy will sit at top first place and improve his record to 5-1. Stevens goes to 4-2.
Yeah, so I think with trying to do my math right here, but I think with that win, that actually may, well, depending on what happens later, but I think that Murphy may secure his place in the final with that win. Because his only loss right now is to McDougall. So the worst he could possibly finish is 5-2. And all the other teams that would have potential to finish 5-2 have indeed lost to Murphy. So if I'm doing my math right, I'm pretty sure that Murphy has now secured his spot in the final on Sunday morning at 9. And really nice shot there by Kevin, I should say. Not easy on this ice.
Now this ice has kind of given some teams issues and a little bit of fits.
So I think with this one, Kendall's going to look to hit that yellow and just roll over to just over to where that rock is behind the tee line.
Skip rocks in 9.
Well thrown, Rock. See if he gets the results he's looking for. Gotta stay close. It's curling.
Yeah, did that ever sort of take off?
Really.
Oh, look, you can see the frustration of the shoulders on it. Might not have seen it, but we seen it here, and it's like, how did that get away from me, sort of thing.
I think it was, I'm not sure. I couldn't really hear if the sweepers were saying what the was, but that wasn't too much weight. I was at most bored, maybe even hack. So I think it might have been a little lighter than what they expected. But it was curling, so I mean, at the same time, I'm surprised that Bryce didn't call them on for sweeping sooner. Of course, they're trying really hard for that roll, but now there's a chance here for Kevin to, if he can make a really good one here, make this really tough for Kendall to get in there for his single.
Final stone for Kevin Ouellette without hammer here in 9. He sits 2, hoping maybe to sit 3. As they're dragging it and push it as far as they can. And if anything, block, of course, they shot the closest one to the 4-foot area as it comes to a stop.
It's a really good rock, yeah. Yeah, Kendall's going to be looking at having to remove both of these, or at least move them to at least out of the 8-foot area for a single here. It's not the shot he probably anticipated facing here in 9. But nonetheless, just focus on this one and make it, and get your single, and get ready to steal in the 9th, or in the 10th, sorry.
Tooth and nail on sheet B as Stuart Thompson and Dacey 6-6. They play the 9th. Brendan Lavelle on it as soon as it comes out of the hand there. Final stone, Kendall Thompson in 9.
It's really close. I don't think he was trying to play it that way. I think almost if they would have lined up a little bit, they would have gone the double that way. It looks like they're clearing the stones. So we'll see here in a second who actually did score. And it looks like Mike is grabbing the 9, indicating that they did get their single.
Oh, they're going to have to.
That's a tough one.
Steal for Flemming. (10-7) and well here for Mike Flemming, cleanup mode. Thompson will have the hammer here in 10, but probably won't see a lot in play. Probably put this first one either in the rings or out.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so a friend of mine, Neil Gallant, he actually messaged me and did correct my math, which is great. So if Stuart beats Dacey on sheet B right now, and then beats Murphy tonight, they'll get the bye. Because, with that being said, they'll both be 5-2, at which point Thompson would get the bye. Of course, he still has to make sure he beats Mark first, so it's still a run for the final on Sunday, but at least we know that Murphy has secured his playoff spot.
So the first one for McDermott as we right onto the button, ignored here by this Thompson team, and this is the point where I say, you got to feel kind of bad for this Kendall Thompson team. They came in on a roll on top, and then, that loss to Greg Power, and all of a sudden they found themselves 3-2, and then they were up on this one, and just 6th in, that 6-pointer there by the Flemming foursome, and now here they are trailing by 3, but they do have the hammer in 10, but you can see that the Flemming foursome nearly keeping it clean as they put one in the house, as I mentioned, and throw the other one out towards the back and out. It's a kind of a shocking way to, all of a sudden you have right on top, you got momentum going, and then it just gets away from you. Brown will throw up a guard. and just gets over to the hog line area. Broom slam there from the Stuart Thompson team on B, as our mics picked up that.
Some pretty exciting action over on sheet D, actually. Greg Power managed to steal 2 in the 9th, and they have a tie game coming home, 9-9.
Yeah, it's a battle of 1 and 4 teams. Into the second stones, and as you see, 2 yellow stones belonging to Flemming. Well, and Everest having a conversation here, trying to get on the same page before he releases his rock. And in the meantime, my broadcast colleague doing some math, some figuring things out, doing some figures.
Just
statistician on the fly.
I'm trying my best. Got it wrong the first time, but I'm just I can't quite picture it right now. But if well, it looks like they're gonna have to work hard to get their 3 here. But any team that does drop to 3 losses, I think, is still in playoff contention, whether that be in a tiebreaker situation. I think we'll have a better picture of what it will look like after all the games are done. But I don't think that having 3 losses totally puts quite yet.
Well, earlier on in the draws, I was saying you want to definitely stay away from that 3 because you need some help. But you keep around that 2 loss, everything's okay. But as you say, some of the field has come back, and that's the case.
Yeah, and every year is so different, right? 3 losses seems to be the fence whether or not you'll make a tiebreaker. Generally, 2 losses, you're into the semis. But there is one year in the Scotties where there was 3 of us that were 6-1. So if you had more than 1 loss, you were toast. Yeah. So yeah, it just all depends on the year, and especially with in the next game, Kendall's team will be playing Brent McDougall, and then Stevens will be up against Stacy. And Murphy, of course, up against Stuart Thompson. So it'll be interesting to see what happens coming up later in the night. So Kendall's team just looking to get the guard back up and still do what they can to try to generate their 3 to tie this game up.
Into third rocks. We talked about the time. Okay, there's their 4:34. We're into the third stones, and Kendall Thompson 9 seconds shy of 10 minutes, so they're going to be A-OK. Time not a factor here as we play on and end number 10. Flemming noses. Also jams on, and one of the yellow stones been removed and goes, and the blue one replaces it in the back.
Yeah, it's actually not a bad situation for Kendall right now. There's a few guards in play. They do have one in the back 8, and if they can sink one in buried, they'll be pretty good to get their 3 potentially. So a big shot here for Bryce on his first.
Oh, we never would have predicted it would be a 10-10 game if it happens the way as you say. Nobody would pick that. No,
and that's a huge score for a game. Generally, we see anywhere between 5 and 7 points for each team. So being in the 10s is quite a bit. Oh, it's just a hair light and it overcurled on him. Not terrible, though. I mean, still going to have to deal with this, but definitely would have liked to see that one come in the ring. Because they're running out of the rocks here.
Yep, staggered guards out front as you see Ouellette puts his brush down. Flemming hoping for a bounce back shot here on his second.
Gets lucky. One in the house.
Yeah. Not the one to call, but hey, if it's back there, plan B or C or even as you said, Z.
Yep. I think I said X last time, but that one would probably be more
of
a
to the end of the alphabet. I just couldn't remember what one.
Yeah, that one's definitely more of a plan B, I would say. Generally, teams knowing that part of the rock that if you end up being a bit wide on the peel attempt, you usually get the one in the rings. So, so really important that got to score with all their rocks left now. So important to get their rocks in very good positions. And this one's looking really nice right now. Coming in perfectly. Nice adjustment by Bryce after his first one there. So looks like Kevin's going to play the peel.
Yeah, his hopes of trying to keep this
Yeah.
haven't gone away. A few nose hits and
Yeah. No, I think this is a good call. You play the peel, and then Kendall's going to have to kind of get 2 shots in one. He'll probably play the come around around the yellow guard that's there, unless for some reason Kevin peels it, which he might be able to get both rocks actually. But if he does leave that yellow stone there, we'll see Kendall probably try to draw it so he's protecting his rock in the rings, meanwhile sitting 2. See what happens here on Kevin's.
a lot of rotation and spin on Kevin Ouellet's throw here. Already on it. 3, at least it's out towards the wings.
Yeah, so he moves that yellow stone that I was talking about that was helping. So Kendall's going to have to at least try to put this in a spot that's going to make it tough for Kevin to remove. But regardless, they're going to be open stones. So it's going to be tough here. Kendall's going to have to hope for a miss on Kevin's last one to keep his hopes alive here.
Late stages of the end and late stages of the game here in number 10. And what I would have to say has to be a shocker so far. Flemming got 2 in the first, and Kendall Thompson got 2 in the second, and then steals in the third, fourth, and fifth. And going to the 5th in break on a positive note, but that 6th in when he gave up a 6 spot. The difference maker here, 10-7, as his first of 2 is on its way.
So Kendall's actually choosing to draw to the other side. I mean, really, Kevin's going to be able to see one of the blue stones, so there really wasn't a good spot for Kendall to put it, unfortunately. So last stone here for Kevin, and if he successfully removes the blue, it will be game over.
They made the switch a couple of days ago. They've been getting down big and have fought their way back. Same story here in this one. Final stone here for Ouellette here in N10. Hoping to run Thompson out of rocks and does. 10-7 here final. And that is a tough one, especially after the great start that this Thompson team had going 3-0. And now find themselves on a 3-game losing streak, dropping to 3-3. And for Flemming, he now goes to 2-4. I have to say that this is, well, basically the amount of silence that's right around our location pretty well tells the story of this.
Yeah, it was a really bad break for Kendall's team in the 6th then. But nothing to do about now, unfortunately. And they're going to have to regroup and win their next game because, they're still in it. And, it can be really easy to get down on yourself after something like that. So,
well, nothing new to report there in number 9 between Stuart Thompson. We'll just give an update just before we sign off. They are tied at 6 as they play the 9. And, of course, folks, you could actually switch lakes and join the finish of the game on Sheet D between McDougall and Power. So for my broadcast colleague, Carly Jones, and my producer, Chuck Calder, my name's Dan Hobson. Thanks for tuning in. So long here from Sheet C at the 2018 Nova Scotia Deloitte Tankard here on Bell 5 TV1.